Hello, hello! Are we all ready to haul some books? So I am so ready for summer to be over, and I am somebody who really actually enjoys the sun. But in the UK, we've been having, like, it's still warmish, so it's not fall weather yet, but it has been like grey and dim and dreary. I'm filming this in the morning. It's 11 AM and I need my ring light because the sunlight coming through the window is not strong enough to film a video. So I'm definitely in the fall mood, and I'm planning on drawing a line under summer with this book haul. No more summer content going forward. We're heading into the September, October spooky vibes very, very soon. Saying that, I shouldn't make such broad sweeping statements because I may change my mind. But yeah, this is all of the books that I have hauled in the months of July and August, I think. So as usual, this book haul is going to be split into sections of where I acquired all of the books. So we have books that were given to me by publishers or the author, we have gifts, we have subscription box books, books that I bought secondhand because I've been back on my bullshit. I only got a couple of things, and books that I bought brand new. So that is all the introduction this video needs. So we're gonna crack on with it, starting off with the books that I was gifted from the publishers or the authors, of which I have two. So the first one is an ebook that was sent to me by the author. It's fantasy romance, and it is called Sand and Stars by Olivia Hart, and it is the first book in the Winged Mate series. I believe that this is going to be a duology. The author kindly reached out to me on Goodreads and offered me an ebook copy of this, and you know I love my fantasy romance, so I just snatched their fingers right off. And I believe that this one is an enemies to lovers story where the main character is captured by this big, I think, elvish warrior, and essentially the whole world is burning and she's swept off by this guy, and she has like feelings towards him even though she doesn't actually like him all that much. The other book I was sent by Del Rey, so thank you so much Del Rey for sending this my way, and it is The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik, which I have just read. Did not love, did not hate either. Same vibes as Deadly Education, but this one is the sequel to Deadly Education. The publication date is the end of September on this one, and it is a young adult, new adult kind of magic school story where we're following this young girl called Elle who goes to this school called the Scholarmans, and in this world magic wielders are hunted down by monsters called Maleficara. So this school has been created and built into the void to protect these students while they learn spells and incantations and all of that stuff, so that when they come out of the school they have the tools that they need to protect themselves against these Maleficara. Now the school is warded, but there was a malfunction in the graduation hall, which means that to get out of this school you have to fight your way through a room full of monsters. So we're following Elle, who is very unlikable. Nobody likes her. She's very grumpy. She pushes people away, and to be able to survive this school she needs to either join an enclave or make an alliance. So the first book is about that, and the sequel focuses on preparing for graduation. I despise the writing style in these books, but I actually really like the characters and the story, so definitely a mixed bag, and you can check out my vlog if you want to know like my full thoughts on this one. For gifts we have one from the lovely Felicia, who very kindly sent me Angel Season 6 Volume 1. This is the continuation of the canonical Buffyverse. After the TV shows ended, they continued on in comic form, and this is extremely hard to get hold of now because it is out of print, but I really wanted to continue on with the story. Buffy has a special place in my heart, and I don't know if I'm going to enjoy these comics. I've heard that they go downhill the further along they go, but I did read the first volume of this. I managed to get it on Amazon, and then I couldn't find any of the others anywhere, so Felicia very kindly sent this to me, and thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to diving into this one at some point in the future. The rest of the gifts are all from the wonderful Lamia, so thank you so much for sending these to me. Lamia is one of my patrons and likes to send me smutty books. So the first two we have are books 3 and 4 in the Wicked Villain series by Katie Robert. So we have A Worthy Opponent, which I think is book 3. Yeah, book 3 is A Worthy Opponent, and book 4 is The Beast. So the Wicked Villain series is a series of erotic Disney retellings where each book predominantly follows one of the villains of the classic Disney tale and the hero or heroine, or in some case I think maybe both. But A Worthy Opponent is a Peter Pan retelling, possibly between Hook and Tinkerbell. I'm not sure if Peter Pan is in it. And book 4 is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, assumedly between not not Gaston, please. Okay, this may be a throuple because the first line says, once upon a time I fell in love with two men. Their feelings for me were matched only by their hatred for each other. So this one is Gaston and the Beast. And this one, is this Wendy or is it Tinkerbell? I don't know, but I'll find out soon. I'm planning on reading these very soon and I'm very excited. I loved the first book, Desperate Measures. And the other book that Lamia sent me was Queen Takes Knights by Jolie Sue Burkhart. This was recommended to me actually by Madison from Princess of Paperback. So it was on my radar. I'm really excited to get into this one. This is a smutty vampire romance. That is all I know about it. But the top says a lost virgin vampire queen, two vampire knights sworn to protect her. It's about to get very hot and bloody. So I think that this one, it may actually be a reverse harem as well. And I still don't know if reverse harem is for me, but the more I read, the more I find out, I guess. So thank you very much to Lamia for these three, and I am hopefully going to be reading this one not super soon but soonish as well. Fingers crossed. I have plans. For the books that I bought secondhand, we just have two, and that is kind of in the same theme as the Wicked Villains really, but also not. We have Lost Boy and The Girl in Red by Christina Henry. These are adult horror retellings. I have previously read the Alice books by Christina Henry and I wasn't a big fan, but I saw these for £1.99 each, so I thought I may as well grab them and give them a try, because the thing that I didn't like about Alice was it really did capture the whimsical nature of Alice in Wonderland, and I wasn't a huge fan of that element, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to be a fan of Christina Henry. So Lost Boy is a Peter Pan retelling, and I'm not sure, but I think that Peter might be the villain in this one, and The Girl in Red is Little Red Riding Hood. And I think that this one has a big dystopian vibe with like quarantine camps where people are dying. I think it's Red who's like a murderer or something in this one. I think she might be trying to protect herself though. Red doesn't like to think of herself as a killer, but she isn't about to let herself get eaten up just because she is a woman alone in the woods. So for the books that I bought new, this is by far the biggest stack, but out of the 11 books that I'm actually going to be showing you, I have already read 7 of them, and the other 4, 2 of them I'm going to be reading very, very soon, and the other 2 I'm going to be reading I think before the end of the year, but like January at the latest. So the first one of these is Witch Shadow by Susan Dennard. I got this because I was a co-host now, because it's over, for the Witchlands Long hosted by Jade at JJ Reads, and this is the 4th book in the Witchlands series. So this series starts off by following this young woman called Safi, who is a truth witch, which means that she has the ability to tell when people are lying or telling the truth. Now this is a very coveted ability, so Safi has always kept her powers on the down low. However, one day she encounters a blood witch who has the ability to scent your blood and the magic in your blood and then track you over miles, and from that moment on, Safi and her best friend Iseult are on the run, which causes them to collide with this big political plotline that centers around a 20-year treaty that is going to be coming to a close. Now bear in mind that that is actually not what this series is about. There's one core book left in this series as far as I'm aware, and I still can't tell you what the end game plot is, but it does have a lot to do with history and the history of magic of the world, and trying to end cycles, I want to say. Was not a big fan of this book, my least favorite in the series, but I will be reading the final book. I haven't loved this series, but whenever the final book is released, I will continue and read it, because there's only one book left, hopefully. If there's more than one book, I may change my mind, but if we just have one, I'll suffer through it just to get some closure. The next 2 are the ones that I will have read by the end of the year, or at the latest early next year, and they are the first 2 books in the Rainwild Chronicles by Robin Hobb. So my book club, a catch-up book club, are currently just past the middle of Elderling, where we are reading all of the books in the realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. We are currently up to Fool's Fate, and then we will be starting this series. So I was placing a Waterstones order and I needed to make up my basket for free shipping, so I added a couple of these because I'm going to need them eventually. And these 2 are the first 2 books in the 4th series. I can't believe we're so far. I was gonna say already, it's been over a year, but they're the first 2 books in the 4th series out of 5 in the realm of the Elderlings, and I think they are pretty much a direct continuation of the 2nd series. I can't say for sure because I haven't read them yet, and I also haven't really looked into them because spoilers, with it being a series with a massive overarching plot, and also I don't need to look into them because I know I'm going to read them. It's not something I need to read the synopsis of to see if I'm going to be interested in it. So all I can really tell you about this that I know for sure is that the main characters of this series are dragons. I also picked up a couple of romances in my Waterstones order. The first one I have read, which is the Bromance Book Club by Alyssa K. Adams. This one is the first book in the Bromance Book Club series, and it follows a guy who is a star player on a baseball team. I don't know a whole ton about baseball, so if I get any terminology wrong while I'm talking about it, please forgive me. But he's like the star player in this baseball team, and he married young because his wife was pregnant, and now like 3 or 4 years into their marriage they have started to encounter problems when he discovers that she has always been faking her orgasms. He flies off the handle and she then files for divorce. So this is a second chance romance about him trying to get his wife back. I really enjoyed this. I'm excited to read the rest of the series. It wasn't anything too amazing, like it didn't blow me away, but it was a solid feel-good romance that I really enjoyed reading. And I would say the smut level on this is kind of like middle of the road. Like we have a high steam. It's not super explicit, but there is some smutty content in here. The other romance I picked up I have not read yet, and that is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. I got these two as options, wasn't sure which one I was going to read, and then I need to build up my contemporary romance collection because this and a couple of Colleen Hoover books I think are the only adult or new adult contemporary romances that I own. I've read everything else. So this one I've heard a lot of great things about, and both of these were recommended to me by Steph from Steph Loves. I asked for her advice when I was placing my order because she reads a lot of contemporary romance, but this one follows a woman who has Asperger's and she is looking to settle down and find a husband. However, she is not very good with people, so she hires a male escort to teach her about like love and romance and dating and all of that good stuff. The next three I got because I made a video where I read this entire series in a week, and that is A Torch Against the Night, A Reaper at the Gates, and A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sabaa Tahir. These are books 2, 3 and 4 in the Ember Quartet. This is a young adult fantasy series. It is published as adult in the UK, and I think that that is because it doesn't shy away from like the brutal aspects in here. There's a little bit of like grim torture, and it also like nobody's safe. There's quite a lot of death in this series as well, but it does very much read like YA, and the characters are all in the late teens. But the main character of this one is Laya, and her brother has been arrested for treason, so she joins a scholar rebellion to try and release him before he is executed, and they send her into the prestigious Blackcliff Military Academy to infiltrate it and discover some of the secrets about these trials that are going to be going on to select the next emperor. And in exchange for that they will find her brother and free him. So this is multi-perspective. We follow Laya, Elias and Helene, although we don't follow Helene in book 1. That comes a little bit later on. But Elias is a student in this military academy, and he doesn't quite believe in this oppressive regime that the marshals have been enforcing. There's like a caste system in this world, and Helene is his best friend, and she does believe in this system. Like she very much believes in the empire, supports it and wants to uphold it. Like I said, I made a full video where I read this series if you want to know my thoughts. I'm not sure at this minute if I'm going to be unhauling these because I enjoyed this series enough. Loved the first book, big dip throughout the middle of the series, and then it picked up a little bit again in A Sky Beyond the Storm, and I don't know at this moment if I care enough about this series to keep it, but I'll keep you guys posted if I decide to unhaul. And the last 3 I got are Fairy Loot special editions. They are now my prized possessions. I'm so glad I managed to get these, and that is the Red Rising series by Pierce Brown in the Fairy Loot special editions, which are absolutely beautiful. I bought these on a whim, not knowing whether I would like Red Rising because I hadn't read it, but I'd already missed out the first time these went on sale, and I was not missing out again. My favorite thing about these, the thing that made me really want them, is how the spines go together and make up a scythe. But I have since read Red Rising. I have also since read Golden Sun, and this is one of my favorite books of the year, if not my favorite book of the year. So I'm really glad that I took the plunge and decided to order these. But Red Rising is an adult sci-fi that has a dystopian and also a little bit of a martial fantasy plotline. So it takes place on Mars, and our main character is Darrow, who is a red in this caste system where reds are on the bottom and golds are on the top. Now the reds are essentially being kept in slavery, mining underneath the surface of Mars for a very valuable resource called helium-3. Reds believe that they are doing this so that humans can start to terraform the planets and escape the dying planet Earth. However, after Darrow's wife orchestrates her own capture and execution to make herself a martyr and spur Darrow into action, he finds out that actually the planets have been terraformed. Terraforming has been ongoing for a very long time, and the reds are essentially being kept in slavery. So Darrow joins a rebellion and infiltrates the golds with the intention of tearing them down from the inside. This one I only warmed up to about halfway through it. It is a very dense world. There is a lot of intricate world building with things like dialects and the caste systems, and then systems within the main colors of the caste. And it also, like, people compare this to the Hunger Games. The red area very much feels like District 12 in the Hunger Games, and we also have a school and a trial element in this book as well, which also felt very Hunger Games. But then after this one, the series does definitely change direction. This one has a lot more space battles in, so it leans a little bit more into the sci-fi and also into the dystopian plotline. But the drama and angst in this series is unparalleled. It has a Shakespearean level of drama where we have blood feuds and people betraying each other left, right and center, and shocking plot twists and people dying. And honestly, I adore this book and I cannot wait to get to Morningstar. So if you haven't picked up Red Rising yet, I would recommend it. But this is not a review. This is just supposed to be a haul. But I bought these. I took a chance. I bought them and it paid off. And that segues us nicely into our final stack of books, which is my subscription box books for the last 2 months. So all of these were rep books apart from one. So thank you very much to Fairy Loot, Illumicrate, Abraxas Boxes and Owlcrate for sending these books to me. And the one that I'm not a rep for that I got myself was the Afterlight box by Illumicrate, which is a new adult contemporary romance quarterly box. And the book in the very first box was The Heart Principle by Helen Huang, which is actually a companion novel to The Kiss Quotient. So all of the main characters in these books, I believe, are on the autism spectrum, and in this one the main character goes viral with her work on YouTube, and shortly after that her boyfriend of 5 years announces that he wants an open relationship. So the main character decides to go on a series of one-night stands, and one of the people she has a one-night stand with is a tattooed motorcycle riding guy called Quan Diep. The first attempt at a one-night stand fails, as does their second and their third, because being with Quan is about more than sex. So I'm excited to get to this one. Hopefully I will enjoy this one and get the one that's in the middle, which I think is The Bride Test. But oh no, I'm not talking to you, honey, please stop. But yeah, that's those. Moving on to the Fairy Loot books, the book for June. I don't think I have any August boxes yet, so the book for June was Fire with Fire by Destiny Soraya. That rhymes and it gets me every time. So this one follows two sisters that are dragon slayers. One of them isn't that into it, like she does it, she likes killing them, but her life is more important to her, and the other one is like balls to the walls dragon slayer, and they both agree that dragons are evil until one of them meets a dragon and forms a soul bond with them. The July Fairy Loot book was Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This one is an East Asian young adult fantasy that follows a princess with forbidden magic, and on the day of her betrothal ceremony she accidentally reveals that she has this forbidden magic, and her stepmother, who is a sorceress, turns her brothers into cranes because of this and tells the main character that if she ever speaks of it then one of her brothers will die. So the main character, who is penniless and voiceless now, goes on a quest to find her 6 brothers, and I'm assuming turn them back into humans. The July book for Abraxas Boxes was The Immortal Game by Talia Rothschild and AC Harvey. This one is a young adult fantasy that follows the daughter of Poseidon, and when Olympus is attacked, she is blamed for it, so she's working to uncover the plot and find out who actually attacked Olympus. I don't know too much about the subscription box books, if you can't tell. The June Owlcrate book was Sisters of the Snake by Serena and Sasha Nanua. This one is a young adult fantasy about a princess and a thief that are identical, so they switch places to both get what they want, and this is written by twins, which is really cool. And the July Owlcrate book was This Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron. This follows a main character who can make plants grow. I think that's all I know about this. It has something to do with poisons, and it has a walled garden filled with the deadliest botanicals in the world. I also feel like I've heard this is a retelling of something, but I don't know what it is, so if it is and you know what it is, then please let me know. And then finally we have the Illumicrate book. So the first one is the special edition of From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This one is a, why am I struggling? I've read this, I know what this is about. This one is a new adult fantasy romance series that follows a young woman called Poppy, who is the maiden, which means that she's never to be looked upon, never to be touched. She can't experience pleasure, and the love interest in here is her guard, who has been tasked with guarding her until her ascension, called Hawk. The ascension is this mysterious ritual that happens, and the supernatural and paranormal elements are like revealed as you go through the book, so I can't really say what they are in case you want to go find out for yourself. But this is the Illumicrate edition, which is very, very pretty, and this was part of the rep package for the last quarter. I like this series. I really didn't like the last book, but I like the first 2, and I'm hoping that the next 3 are a lot better than that 3rd installment. I enjoy this series. I'm a little bit trash for this series because I really like the love interest Hawk, but critically I don't love it. Like, I have a lot of problems with the narrative construction, the writing. The June book for Illumicrate was The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed. This one is, I think it's an adult fantasy that has a lot of Jewish lore in it, and it follows a young woman who is the only girl in her village without power, so she is captured and taken away, but en route everybody in the party that's escorting her is slaughtered, aside from one guy who is the woodsman, I think. And he turns out not to be a woodsman, but actually a disgraced prince. I've heard that this is really dark and has a lot of walking through the woods. That's all I've heard about this one so far. And the last book is the July Illumicrate book, which is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. And this one, I think is gonna be a martial fantasy. I have a feeling that I'm gonna really enjoy this one. But in a famine-stricken village, 2 children are shown their fate. The boy is destined to ascend to greatness, and the girl is essentially like has nothing. Like, there's nothing seen in her future. The family aren't too bothered about the fact that the girl has nothing in their future, but they really don't know, because of how poor they are, how the boy is going to achieve such great heights. But in an attack that orphans them both, the boy also dies, and so the girl assumes his identity, and I'm assuming realizes this great prophecy that was supposed to be his. So there you have it. Those are all of my books from the month of July and August. Once again, I have forgotten. This is just the books I've acquired in the last couple of months, essentially. Please let me know down in my comments if you have enjoyed any of these books, especially the ones that I haven't read. Let me know what's worth my time and what isn't. You know what I'm like. I'll probably read them anyway or complain about them anyway, but I do value your guys' opinions regardless. But aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna. If you head to my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish Candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.